Okay. All right. Welcome, everyone. My name is Dana Williams, and I am your host for this interview series. It is called Evolve Back to Love. And Spirit inspired me to do these interviews and showed me one day that if we put a little heart in between the L and the V, evolve spells love backwards and forwards, and that's what I believe we're here to do. And today I have Marilyn Harper here to help inspire us with her story and to give us some tips on how to evolve back to love. And Marilyn is a channel. She channels beings from the 17th dimension. And we're going to talk to Marilyn today about how she became the channel of ADIRONNDA. And Marilyn, welcome to Evolve Back to Love. It's so great to have you here today.
Thank you so much, Dana. I really appreciate you inviting me here. I know that it is a wonderful, I love the evolve spells love backwards and forwards, and that's really cool. I like that. And you're doing such a great job with your show, with your interview show. You've got some really good guests, and I'm honored to be a part of your process and honored to be a part of your distribution list process. That's really wonderful.
Yes, well, you know, we were talking for a few minutes before we hit record, and I was sharing with you that, like, I geek out on healing and alternative, you know, ways to be a higher vibrational version of ourselves. And I had no idea that you were out there. And so I thought, my goodness, I've got to share this lady with my my community, which is, you know, fairly large. I've got probably, you know, over 5,000 people that that are going to be able to perhaps meet you for the first time and follow your beautiful work. It's out of this world. Literally. And Marilyn, I would love to hear about how this all got started and, you know, who you were before all of this.
Well, it's definitely an interesting story, I have to say. It's one day you'll read about it in a book called Stepping Off the Edge as soon as we finish the book and get it published.
Oh.
Yes, but you know, I am from Missouri. I actually grew up in Kansas, and that in itself is kind of an anomaly, having a channel come from Kansas.
Mm-hmm.
And then I live in Missouri now, and I travel for my living. You know, in the 90s, when all this came about, I experienced a major transformation and kind of woke up to that transformation in 1996. I was not metaphysical. I was deacon in the Christian church. I was selling advertising for a country western radio station. I was really just going on about a very, very normal, everyday life. And then after I woke up, I realized that I had new skills. Some would call that wake-up experience a walk-in. Some would call it something else. I call it a walk-in, where a person, the soul that was born in this body, leaves and a new soul comes in to take its place. And instead of the body dying, another soul comes in and the body lives on. That's a complicated process. There's information on our website, ADIRONNDA.com, about walk-ins. And there's a whole audio series about walk-ins and answering all your questions.
Mm-hmm.
But after I woke up to that fact in 1996, I realized I did indeed have different skills, new ideas. I started doing automatic writing or inspired writing. I had an energy session every week for over a year with another energy worker. I mean, in the beginning, I didn't even know what an energy session was. I was like so completely not metaphysical. It was like, but I learned quickly, and I became a Reiki master. And after I became a Reiki master, I'm sure your audience knows what Reiki is.
Mm-hmm.
But after I became a Reiki master, I really, I started connecting with another set of energies. In Up until then, during my automatic or my inspired writing, I became very familiar with my guidance system,
Mm-hmm.
because automatic writing is where I go into an energy, and I actually have a meditation on my website that's available that leads you into and out of it. But it's where you connect in with your own guidance system and sort of transcribe what it is that they're saying. And that was really a how-to manual for me. And I did that every day for a year or more. And it really helped me move along in my process. After I started going into Reiki, that also expanded the process. I became a Reiki master in 1998. So that was 2 years after I woke up. And then I was working with someone on the table doing energy work, Reiki. And unusually enough, another energy came in. And now, up until this point, anytime I had a tarot reading or a psychic reading or even a reading from a channel, they all said the same thing to me. Well, you should be on this side of the table instead of that side of the table. You are a channel. And it's like, I really don't believe in channeling. I don't think so. And they said that I had the ability to do oversoul to oversoul communication. And, I didn't even know quite what that was. But after I was a Reiki master and was doing work with someone on the table, I heard another voice come in. And that other voice identified themselves as Serapis Bay, and that they had a message for the person on the table, and that they wanted to use me as a channel. And my first response was, no. I've seen The Exorcist. I know what could happen. And so it did indeed frighten me. But they continued to communicate with me while I was doing energy work, telepathically. And they said that they were a messenger from God, and they used the term God, and they wanted to speak directly to the person on the table and use me as a channel. So eventually I surrendered to that. And it was amazingly profound. We got to information through Serapis Bey, who I now know is one of the Ascended Masters. I didn't then. We got to information that we would never have been able to get to before. Then after that, I don't think I completely came back in my body. After 3 car wrecks and 5 speeding tickets in the next year. The last car wreck, none of them were serious. They were just kind of like trying to get my attention. Dana, the universe will get your attention in one way or another. And that's pretty much how it happens sometimes if you're a little stubborn like I was. And I think back to the times that they were trying, that the universe, that the guides or beings from the light, ADIRONNDA even, was trying to get my attention. I bought a new house, and my stereo, which was brand new, would come on every morning at 4:44 a.m. to a rock and roll station. And now I'm an NPR listener. So even if I had it tuned and the timer was going on, it would never be to a rock and roll station. And I even unplugged it And it still came on at 4:44 a.m.,
Wow.
which is the time that the angelic realm is closer in communication to humans than other times, according to some, and including ADIRONDA. And so after that, after the third car wreck, the universe, it was also synchronistic. That's why I hear from people now and they think they're afraid that they're going to miss their opportunity. It's like, you really can't miss your opportunity. It's always moving in your direction.
Mm-hmm.
And it was arranged by energies that are not in human form for me to meet a person who could tell that I was not in my body and knew what to do about that. Mm. I was not even aware that I wasn't in my body. And she could tell that I was not present, and she knew how to accommodate that and knew how to step my conscious self aside and ask to speak to my higher self or whoever was present in my body. And that was June of 1999. And that was the first time ADIRONDA spoke. And they came through immediately. It was like they were sitting back in the background saying, when is this person going to listen to us? So, and so then the person, Alexis, as her name, again, the universe, total arrangement, that you'll read about it in the book. It's a fascinating story, how we would never have ever met in Springfield, Missouri, had it not been for a large series of synchronistic events. But she came and worked with me to release my fear of channeling. And it's just fascinating, the events that happen. ADIRONDA came in immediately when she asked, who are you? She says, my name is ADIRONDA. She even asked ADIRONDA how you spell that name in English. And ADIRONDA said, ADIRONNDA, and that they are the spokes being for a team or council of beings that have been in human form or are from the angelic realm. And there's about 12 or more on the council. Sometimes they do change in and out. Sometimes they speak directly. A member of the council will come forward and speak directly. In the past few months, there's been a group come through just on a few stated occasions on our, we do a monthly broadcast called the Double Digit Activation. And in the last 2 months, a group that call themselves the Galactics have come in and asked for help from the human species, the human race. Wow. So, I know. It's like,
all my hair is standing up.
Now we're getting really weird. We are in full woo-woo. And this is water. I'm going to take a sip of water. This is not water.
One too.
ADIRONDA, when they first came in, they told us to drink out of cobalt blue bottles and so I drink out of cobalt blue bottles. I don't know if you can see this. We actually,
yes, it's beautiful.
Because Dr. Emoto's work, Messages from the Water.
Mm-hmm.
The cobalt blue, when the sunlight passes through, it raises the vibrational frequency of the water. So therefore, when you drink it, it raises your vibrational frequency. It's got an engraving on it. So this is gratitude. We have 4 different intentions. Cobalt blue is the first ray of light, which is the will of source, the first ray of light out of the 49 rays of light, which is the will of source or the will of God. So metaphorically, you're drinking in the will of God. So, or the will of source, if you prefer. But, when Alexis first connected with me, ADIRONDA came in and said very clearly that I, Marilyn, am an activator, and I am here to activate people in groups. And we had our first group like 5 days later. It was like, Boom,
Wow.
wham, bam. Thank you, ma'am.
Mhm. Yes. I feel that in my spine right now. It just feels like it's very high, a very high calling that you've been, your mission has been. So, question: how was your original family when you had your walk-in experience?
You know, that's interesting. I've talked about it with my son, but I've never talked about it much with my brothers and my parents. Um, with They recognized a difference. They realized that something had happened with me. They couldn't quite identify it. I was, you know, 2 feet from my brother, who is 8 years younger than me, but I was his babysitter. So we've always been really, really close. After I woke up, and he did not recognize me. So even though my physical appearance didn't really change, my energy changed so drastically that he didn't recognize me being in front of him
Wow.
as to who I was, until I said, Donnie. And he's like, Marilyn. you know
Wow.
yeah, it's pretty wild. And since then, you know, my sisters-in-law, they've read my website word for word. I don't know that my brothers ever have. But they don't understand it, but they've seen me speak. And they say, according to my mother, who, you know, she passed away a year ago, but she was 96. And she says that when I speak, that people listen, and I have a way of communicating that causes them to listen. And that, you know, when I'm speaking, my eyes sometimes get really blue. My, when ADIRONNDA comes in, you can see it first in my eyes. And my son, it was fascinating, because mistakenly, he read about my transformation in a magazine that I accidentally left on the table when I thought he was going to be out of town for the weekend. And he read this magazine and read about me and thought, that is not the way you want to tell your family that you're not the same person that you were born with.
Wow.
And I know. And he was really upset at first. And I said, but what you don't understand is, I mean, he vaguely understood the premise of previous lifetimes and living lifetime after lifetime. And I believe that my walk-in was his mother on multiple lifetimes, but we've never grown old together. So I came back this time so we can indeed grow old together.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah. And after that first conversation, we never spoke about it again until a year later. I mean, he never mentioned it. And I thought, well, you know, I told him, I said, if you want to ask any question, I will answer any question, but you'll need to ask, because I don't want to overwhelm you with the information. So then a year later, on his birthday, I took him out to lunch for his birthday. And it was like he was continuing the conversation, like no time had passed, right? And he said, so when you walked in, was it when you were in the hospital after your gallbladder surgery? And I'm like, yes, actually. So he knew when it was, because he came into the hospital room, and I had complications following surgery. And I remember saying, you know, if I'm going to be in this much pain, I would rather die. And I got a surge of energy, and I'm sure that's when the walk-in happened. But he knew that, because when he came in the hospital room, his first response was, that is not my mom.
Wow.
And yeah. So that was pretty profound for both of us. Yeah. And now he's all right with it. I mean, he teases me about ADIRONDA, but he also respects it. He also respects the work that I do. And hopefully one day he will be able to come to one of our plurk shops or one of our events that we have, so he can see the people's response and see all of the assistance that we provide. You know, my business partner, Joy Roby, and I really have a mission. And Alexis, interestingly enough, the same person that opened the channel in me due to a series of wild synchronistic events 10 years later, introduced ADIRONDA to her and said, you need to call Marilyn Harper and have a session with her. And, you know, she wasn't metaphysical at all. She was living in Los Angeles. I was living at the time in Branson, Missouri. And it was like, never the two shall we meet. But now Joy Roby and I really are on a mission. We have a mission to awaken all people that we encounter. We teach. We just finished our Visionaries in Light convergence that helps people take their vision, their mission, their purpose to the next level.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Our plurk shops, we call them. Play plus work equals plurk.
I love that.
Work, yeah. Our plurk shops, we're doing 3 that are based upon Lee Carroll, Crayons, book 14, accelerating and accentuating your own personal innate abilities. And we're doing 1 plurk shop on how to channel, even if you think you can't. 1 plurk shop on quantum living, which is bringing you to your purpose. You know, one of the most asked questions is what is my life purpose? What is my mission? And so we answer that question, and we teach you during quantum living exactly how to find that information out. And then we do creating synchronicity, which is living life in a total synchronistic way and staying within that flow. And they're quite powerful. We've only taught a few, but they're really, really quite powerful. And lots of fun.
And I've actually talked to one of your assistants, Connie, to perhaps have you come to Vancouver next year. So our foot's in the air on that one, just, you know, not sure where it's going to land. But for those, you know, on the West Coast, what either in Canada or down in the US, you know, the dollar, the way it is, you know, if for someone from the US to come up, if we do get this organized, you know, it'll still be a discount price if the dollar stays where it is for Canadians and Americans. But yeah, so we'll keep everybody posted on that. And wouldn't that be fantastic, Marilyn, to have you come to beautiful Vancouver?
It really would be. We've been to Vancouver with Lee Carroll, Cryon, and I would love to come back. Vancouver, I was at Vancouver Island with the Science and Spirituality Conference.
Right, yes.
And it's so beautiful up there. I love Canada. We're going to be in Red Deer, Canada, Alberta, in November 16th and 17th or 15th and 16th, whatever that weekend is. Yeah. And we're going to be at a church in Red Deer. We've got the listing on our website, ADIRONNDA.com. I don't remember. And
folks can go there because you're a busy girl. You've got like, you'd have to have been a special being to walk into the schedule that you keep because it's pretty tight. So.
It is pretty tight. It's like I have a whole weekend off right now and I'm like, what am I doing here?
Oh, yes.
This is the first weekend that I've had off since the last week in July. And I've got this weekend and then I've got another weekend in November and that's about it until December 15th.
Yeah. Well, thank you for all that you're doing for humanity. Uh, is there anything you wanted to share about your story before I jump in with some questions?
No, you go right ahead. You know, we've been on this mission, traveling the world over for the last 8 years, and it's evolving into something else as we are speaking. You know, it's evolving sort of into that love aspect. So
Mm-hmm.
you go right ahead and ask your questions, and we'll see where we need
Okay,
to go.
good. Well, I like what you were leading in with there, that everything is you know, it's changing, it's always changing. And I wanted to ask you, I think it's a three-part question. Is the role that Jesus plays today in where we're at consciously or unconsciously on the planet, is Jesus a different persona than he was 2,000 years ago?
Well, I really think everyone is a different persona than they were 2,000 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
However, I believe that Jesus's message has not changed. However, I do believe that many of the leaders of the church, many religious people have misinterpreted his message grossly.
Mm-hmm.
And he is on our council. And and we've been to Israel now 3 times with him, and he has really set the record straight. It's wonderful. On our double-digit activation, all of our subscribers, we have, I don't know, 10 or 15 different recordings where Yeshua came in and did a question and answer.
And that's my next question. So, with Jesus and the persona that he represents for us, hopefully being more conscious now than we were 2,000 years ago, how does that work with his name being Jeshua sometimes?
Well, in Israel, it is Yeshua.
So does it have a different vibration if, like, someone like me, you know, chooses to use the Jeshua pronunciation? Does it have a different vibration?
You know, when he came through, the first time I went to Israel was 2014. He'd only come through on the council once or twice individually before that. We'd been channeling for 14 years by that time. And he came through once, I guess it was probably 2002 or 2003, and wept for and called himself Jesus. And he wept for all of the travesties that had happened in his name. And then in 2014, I went to the Garden of Gethsemane. I had my Israeli Hebrew friends take me to the Garden of Gethsemane, and they didn't really know what the whole significance of it was. To me, being raised Christian, I did, and it was really important to me. But he came through immediately and spontaneously said, "My name is Yeshua ben Joseph of Nazareth. My name is not Jesus. My last name is not Christ." Although Jesus is the American word for Yeshua. And sometimes it's pronounced with a J and sometimes it's pronounced with a Y. Mm-hmm. Yeshua or Jeshua or Joshua, you know, and some Hebrew pronunciations use it as Joshua. When I experience the energy of Yeshua or Jesus, mm-hmm. It is the same energy. They do not distinguish between Yeshua or Jesus. They also do not identify themselves. It only took one time for one person to say, "Wow, you know," that was when Mary came through directly to speak to them, that somebody said, "Well, I noticed that Mother Mary spoke to me. She didn't talk to you." And after that, they never identified themselves again. And it wasn't until the Galactics came in that they said, we are the Galactics. And they don't say who on the Galactics. They just say, we are the Galactics.
Mm-hmm.
And we took and experienced a bit of that energy. And when Jesus or Yeshua came in, it was so different than anyone else on the council. I mean, those that identified themselves on the council are the archangels, Michael, Raphael, and Gabriel, Yeshua or Jesus, Buddha, Lord Buddha, Mother Mary, Kuan Yin, Isis, Ra, Sekhmet, Babaji, Saint Germain, Lakshmi has come in, Elohim has come in, and then the Galactics. But they don't, Yeshua's energy or Jesus's energy is so much different than all the rest. It's like, first of all, with ADIRONNDA and the rest of the council, I'm on the outside. I'm over here somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
With Yeshua, he brings my energy inside.
Mm-hmm.
And so sometimes it's like I feel all that unconditional love.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the most powerful thing I have ever felt. And that's what he says. And that's what ADIRONNDA says, that they are here to help the people of this planet know what it feels like to be held in total and complete unconditional love.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. So I don't know that there is I do not see a distinctive difference between Jesus or Yeshua. There is a distinctive difference between Jesus and Sananda.
Oh, yes. Can you talk
Bless
about
you.
that?
Well, I don't channel Sananda. But when they have come through or to been in connection, it's a different vibration than Jesus. It is, I've never been asked if I could distinguish it. I would say Sananda is an external radiance, and Jesus is an internal vibration.
Mm.
And,
Beautiful.
Both are good.
Yeah.
But when they come through me, they do not ever identify themselves as Sananda. They always identify themselves as, well, originally as Jesus, and then until after we went to Israel, and then it was Yeshua.
My next question is, can you talk about or define Christ consciousness?
Christ consciousness is really that consciousness of love, is really that consciousness. Yeshua, people asked him in our Q&A sessions, are you coming back to be resurrected again? Are you coming back for the second coming of Christ? And he says, I am already here. I was reborn here in your heart. And I think it was either 2000 or 2001 with the coming year. And that is the consciousness of love, which is the Christ consciousness. The Christ consciousness is not the consciousness of Jesus Christ. To be Christed is to be anointed in love. And that is really what the Christ consciousness is that if love were a golden oil, it would be all over your body. But it's not a golden oil, it's an energy. And it as according to Yeshua, he was reborn in the hearts of humans. 2000, 2001, I can't remember. I'd have to listen to the recordings. But that Christ consciousness is there within each, and that he's not coming back in the physical form at this point in time. That is changeable, but he has already returned in the Christ consciousness, that consciousness of love that is within the hearts of every human being.
Mm-hmm. And evolve back to love.
Yes. Evolve back to love, or evolve into love.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yes. So do you have an awareness of angels walking amongst us?
I believe they do. I believe they assist
Mm-hmm.
in a physical form. I have had encounters with angels that look like humans, and then when I turn back, they are not there.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that the angelic realm is really working to help each of us evolve,
Mm-hmm.
and that they are making themselves known a bit more. I believe our human expectations believe that they're these nice, beautiful beings with wings and flit about in the galaxy. But I believe that they are also in human form,
Mm-hmm.
and that they can represent themselves in any way that we can interpret. They say that they do not have form. They say that that their physicality is a representation of the way the viewer can interpret it, can experience it. You know, it's kind of, I guess it's kind of like, you've heard the story of the indigenous people when they saw the ships coming to,
Mm-hmm.
whether they were Columbus or the Spanish
Mm-hmm.
ships or whoever came here first,
Mm-hmm.
that they couldn't actually physically see the ships because they had no paradigm with which to refer it to.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that that is sort of how the angelic realm is. I know ADIRONNDA is from the angelic realm, according to Cryon. ADIRONNDA is an angelic being that has no form, that is like mist and color, which in itself is a form,
Mm-hmm.
but that is the form that my mind can interpret. I believe that the angelics that are here in service, the archangels, are a liaison between humans and the cherubims or the seraphims. And archangels are the closest to the human existence. So, it makes sense that they would represent themselves
Mm-hmm.
in a human form. That's the way I have seen them. I have felt their presence when I've been in a state of trauma. I sometimes will feel an angelic being almost stroke my cheek like
Mm-hmm.
a mother would,
Mm-hmm.
I have
felt that too. I know what you mean.
Yeah, I've felt when I'm about to step into traffic or something, which is not uncommon for me because sometimes I'm not paying attention. I will feel a puff of energy pushing me back.
Mm.
And I believe that that is a part of the angelic realm that's keeping me safe.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also difficult to define because I'm learning that humans, we want to put that energy, that angelic energy, that God center outside of ourselves. and have it be something bigger, but it's also inside of us. So it is about all aspects in us and all aspects that is all around us. So it's like we are a part of that angelic realm, and that's a part of our evolution, is to acknowledge that angelic nature that is within us. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. It does. It's a beautiful, beautiful conversation. Marilyn, I wanted to ask you, you know, I'd like you to talk about sacred wounds. And what I mean by sacred wounds is something that someone has come in with that has been you know, a challenge or a theme in their life that, you know, I'd love to get your take on that, the sacredness of it.
Well, I believe that everything happens for a reason. And I believe that good comes from everything, no matter how horrendous it may seem at the time. So I'm guessing that that is the way you would define a sacred wound, that it can be about a person, a child, an adult, someone who has entered into this realm with what we might call an affliction, a deformity, they can't hear, they can't speak, they have a withered arm or something that is out of the norm. Is that how you're defining a sacred wound?
Yeah, like what I'm getting at is I'd like to inspire anyone that's watching this, if they are experiencing a challenging time, that there is a sacredness to it that perhaps they might be on the edge of discovering, or they might be sitting in victimhood and not be able to see that there's a light.
Yeah, okay. I just wanted to clarify and be sure that we were talking about the same thing. I do believe that I've not identified it as a sacred wound, but I love that term. That those things that happen to us, those things that you know, for lack of a better term, they just seem to suck. You know, they just seem to like, oh my gosh, what else can happen? Don't ask that question.
Yeah, stop.
You know, don't ask, don't go there, because it really is about that, you know, what happened to you, or what happens in your family or in your situation or to you physically. Good has to come from it. You know, that's the universal law. Yeah, I put my second husband in jail for molesting my son. I was also an instrumental witness in getting the laws of the United States changed, so all pedophiles have to be registered. You know, so good things come from that. You know, someone that has their son was murdered by a drunk driver. They became Mothers Against Drunk Driving, so they became very proactive. The guy, I can't remember his name, who was born with no arms and no legs. He's an inspirational speaker. So no matter what your affliction or what your wound, what your sacred wound is, ask yourself, what good can come from this? Now, you may still be, as you stated, in that victimhood. You may still be in that energy of poor me, and you're allowed to do that, but set a time limit on it. And at some point, you get to rise above feeling like a victim and step into your power. I had a private session. I do private sessions. and don't get too excited because I'm booking right now for January, I think. But I had a private session with someone, and they said, you know, I feel like I've done everything that I've ever dreamed about, or I've been guided by my guides that I'm supposed to do this and this and this and this and this. But he was a victim because he was not going out and doing it. He was waiting for it to come to him or her. And, you know, when you're given a task, you get the opportunity to take action. That's one of the things that we talk about in the plurk shops. Play plus work equals plurk. We're going to be in Red Deer, Canada, and Philadelphia next month. In that energy of having a sacred wound, you know, stop, take a deep breath, get yourself centered, go into heart coherence, and ask yourself, what is it that you learned from this experience? And how can you be the difference that you wish to see in the world to assist in possibly others not experiencing the same trauma that you did? You know, Christopher Reeve changed the way handicapped people are treated in the world. You know, Oprah brought in, you know, abuse and child molestation to the public eye. You know, all of the me first energy right now is about bringing the world back into a place of integrity. And it's so powerful. So you get the opportunity to look at that sacred wound differently and ask, why did this happen? And where is the good that is to come from it? And then when you get that message, follow your guidance. Follow your guidance to expand in that energy. Follow your guidance to communicate in such a way that others do not have to go through the same process. You know, in my process with my second husband, not the father of my child, I was really proactive. I got the way that victims of violent crimes are even interviewed at the police department changed. That they're no longer have to stand in front of a little glass window to tell the lieutenant or whoever is the reception what happened, that they are taken as a victim of a violent crime. They are now taken to a private office, a private room. That you get the opportunity to say, instead of, oh, poor me, why did this happen to me? Why did this happen at all? And how can I be of service so it doesn't have to happen again?
So if we take the why out of it and know that, you know, God didn't make any mistakes, we can approach it from a powerful point.
Exactly. God did not create any mistakes. You know, there are people that believe that the transgendered people are mistakes. Well, they are created by God the same as we are. And even the statement they and we is wrong.
Yes.
You know, our language doesn't even support where we're going. Yes. And where we're arriving, that there are no mistakes. I mean, I you know, I know you do as well, Dana, hear horrendous tales of terrible travesties. A mother driving a car has a wreck and kills 2 of her 3 children. Or, you know, how do you survive that kind of guilt? How do you survive that? Well, the way is to be proactive, you know, get the cars, change the car seats in the car. You know, I had a client that happened to, and again, she proactively helped design a new car seat.
Mm.
So children would not be flung out of the car.
Mm.
You know,
Good. Great example.
yeah, exactly. And I think that we get the opportunity to see, okay, so this happened. What's next?
Mm-hmm.
How
Yeah,
can I be of service?
exactly. How can I be of service? I'm just noticing the time, and I wanted to have a chance for everyone to experience you channeling today, Marilyn. Can you
Step aside.
factor that in?
Yeah. Yeah.
Step aside, would you, please?
We don't want to talk to you anymore.
I wanted to find a nice way of saying that.
We're not sensitive where that is concerned. So when I do a private session, I do a little meditation to step aside. And for some reason, and normally when I'm on stage with Lee Carroll Crayon, I do that before I go on stage. But for some reason, I'm asked to do it with the way I do a private session, and to go through that process. And then ADIRONNDA will come in for a brief message, and then they'll wind it back up again. How's that?
Sounds good.
I deliberately clear and seal this space on all sides, all directions, above and below. So only energies from the light can enter wherever there is anyone who listens to this broadcast. I am so thankful to be able to be a direct channel for the Holy Spirit and the cosmic Christ consciousness. I'm honored by the presence of each of the master guides, teachers, and angels of all who are listening in the future. I know their intention is that all healing, information, integration, transformation is for the highest good of each person that listens. I'm also thankful to be able to step aside my own personal beliefs and paradigms, my own programs, my own ideas and contracts, so that all the information that comes through is clear, concise, and succinct. I do open the Akashic records to be able to see past, present, and future. And for this, I give thanks. So it is good day to you, huh?
Good day
Oh,
to you.
it is so good to see you, dearest divine Dana, and your radiant light that is around you. Understand and know, dearest, that you have quite a task in front of you. You are a connector of people. You are connecting heart to heart with your audience, and you are radiating that heart energy around the planet. So you get the opportunity to expand your thinking just a bit, expand your vision of what you are choosing, and possibly get some help. Because in that energy, it is bigger than what we believe that you see as your task. For those who we have not met, we are ADIRONNDA. And we bring with us the Council of Light, the beings that have been in human form or not. And in that capacity, know that we are here as a servant to the human existence. We are here to help each of you see what it feels like to be held in total, complete, unconditional love. And as you have that energy, know that every single being that walks about on this planet or rolls about or is present They are a part of that same Elohim. They are a part of that God energy. They are a part of that same vibration. So it is time to stop judging and put on your superhuman suit and move forward as the being of light that you are. So we know, dearest divine Dana, that you have questions for us. And we will be happy to answer any question you have.
Yes, thank you. Is there a group mind that is a ceiling that humans are able to bust through and connect directly with spirit?
Yes, in fact, we believe that that group mind that they have actually removed that ceiling, that the ceiling only responds to the intention or the belief that it is still present. We believe that a few years ago, that the human existence popped through that intention, popped through that false ceiling, that you can indeed move directly into source. You can indeed directly have a conversation with your higher self, as well as the higher self of the God Most High of the universe. We see that energy. We see beings of light being empowered by that energy. You know, we had our friend that is a spiritual hierarchy liaison between the spiritual hierarchy and the human existence, and we believe that that job is becoming obsolete, because you can go directly to the spiritual hierarchy yourself, but at the same time you must get your ego out of the way, so you are not making decisions based on an egoic information, but based on pure love. And that is when the energy is coming through, where there is no ceiling, when you can live, when you can expand, when you can grow, when you can radiate for that pure love, and not with the separation. You see, in the past, there seemed to be the belief that there was separation, that it was us and them, or the enlightened and the unenlightened. Well, now the enlightenment is to be had by all. And we hold the intention that all are awakening. You see, in so many realms, the energy of the enlightened seems to be an energy of separation. Well, this is the way you become enlightened, not that way. Well, that is not true. You become enlightened when you are plurking with source energy. And that is the key, without the ego involved. Does that answer your question, dear?
Yes, thank you. It's beautiful.
Yes.
And I was listening to one of your recordings earlier today, and you were talking about coherence. And I instantly saw the duality of coherence as coference. Can you talk about that?
Well, when you have coference, then it becomes difficult to go into coherence. Because you see, the coherence is about aligning yourself with your own heart. It is about...
And that word here is in the center of the root of it, right?
Yes,
So
we love your play on words. We love it because we love words. And yes, to hear the connection that you have in your own true essence. And that is really what coherence is to be.
The truth.
The truth.
You feel the truth.
You feel the truth when you breathe into your heart and you hear your own heartbeat, the miracle of your own heartbeat expands and radiates around your body, raising your vibration, elevating your emotion to come to the largest energy field of any species, which is the human energy field. And when you radiate that heart essence, that hearing, that is where the coherence, the fear of you, the fear of stepping forward dissipates.
Like the fear of your own truth.
Exactly. And you would not be given any truth if it were to be afraid of.
I love that.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Yes. You have more question, huh?
Yes, I wanted to ask you, it seems like there's more suicides happening with our young people and not so young people. I recently had a friend that made that decision, and I've also been in touch with mothers that have had their children have accidentally left very, soon in their early years. What would you say about that?
It is definitely a challenge when so many people are leaving the planet at the same time, when so many energies are connecting at the same time. We see that in that energy, that some get the calling to work from the other side. That is one thing. Yet the indigo, the crystalline children that are coming in, their sensory input is so much more advanced than other individuals that it is like they just wish to hold their hands over their ears to say, be quiet to the world, because that energy is dissipating and is not, there's so much sensory input, that it is overwhelming, and the education system is not evolving quickly enough to accommodate the new young people that are here. We know the example of you can, a young person has their first job in McDonald's, right? And they go in and they see how the process can be done much more easily, much more effectively. And so they tell their manager, well, you're doing this much more difficultly. You need to uncomplicate this and do it this way. And the manager, going on protocol, says, we can't do that because that's the rules. And if you don't like it this way, then you're fired. And so the young person says, okay, and they walk out. Because they cannot compromise that. And in many cases, with the beings that are indeed committing suicide, they cannot compromise that. They cannot shift from being in that expanded nature to compress into a challenging state of living, that they must be free to expand and grow in any way, in any capacity, in any shape. We believe that for some, take a deep breath. We believe for some that the suicide is just the overwhelm energy, that they feel that they have no solution. We know for some, they are moving to the other side as quickly as possible, and that may be their reasoning. Each person, so many times we crowd all individuals together into one clump, saying suicide people are this way and that way, but they are not. Each one is an individual, and each one has made a choice to take matters into their own hands. It is our information that many times a person who has committed suicide, that they're really either asking for help and it went wrong, or they will then be flipped back into the same situation or a very similar situation, so they can indeed make other choices. And so there are many, many people who are leaving the planet that are not suicide victims, many people that are leaving the planet for natural disaster. You know, the tsunami that just recently hit, 400, 500 people, we don't know how many, they volunteered to raise the vibration of the planet with that love and with that energy. It is a sad state of affairs that the people, at least in the United States, didn't even hear about it until way afterwards, because they were too busy putting Kavanaugh back into his position as a person that is not in integrity leading the country. You know, and that, dearest, is the sadness of this planet. That is why people like you, people like our vessel Marilyn, have a mission to awaken all. And for that, we are thankful. So continue on as you are.
Well, as we're speaking on the subject of death, I want to share something that was comforting for me that Spirit gave me recently. And the acronym for death is the date energy allows the homecoming. And that really comforts me to think about it as a homecoming, that, you know, it's not personal. It's going to happen to each and every one of us that's breathing. And I just thought that would be a nice time to share that.
Yes.
And my next topic would be, I'm creating a meditation that's called My Soul is Breathing Me. And I love, whenever I think about that during the day, it helps to bring an awareness that, I'll show you this picture. It helps me reconnect.
Yes.
And my question would be, where is the silver cord located? So that if I am in a meditation with myself and I'm breathing the awareness that my soul is breathing me, and I'm consciously aware of that, if I became aware of the silver cord that connects me to Source, where would that be positioned?
In your physical body, you're asking?
In my etheric body.
We believe that it goes through your heart, and in your etheric body, it is that layered energy. It can come through the heart, but it is all throughout the etheric body. The picture that you showed was actually originally created by a close friend of ours, and then someone else copyrighted it. But it is about the elevation of that. See, there is the body goes all the way through the I am presence into that energy, that cording goes all around the physical body,
yes,
as well as the etheric body.
That makes sense. So it's like a sleeve that encompasses all of us.
Yes, exactly.
I love that. Thank you. That's beautiful.
Exactly. Well, we know that our time is coming short,
Yes.
And we did not want to overstep your time constraints, dearest.
Thank you. Thank you very much, ADIRONNDA.
Yes, you see, your mission is a large one. Your mission is to be the example. Live your evolved life so you can love back to you. And that in that example, you are moving from both sides back to the center. And that is a powerful place to be, because that center is the heart. And that heart that you are experiencing is truly a powerful place to experience. We honor you, dearest divine Dana. We honor your mission, your life, your love, and we see you. We see your heart. It is in the right place. We see your listeners in their energy as they are listening to this broadcast. We honor them. And we hold them in our heart. We are multidimensional, so we can go anywhere, anytime. So for that, we give you love, we receive love, and we bid you namaste.
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 Welcome back.
Thank you. Whew, I'm back, kind of.
Is there any little birdies floating around your head for a minute when you come back?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, I can see that your persona changes immediately when you go into your channeling and then when you come back. This has been just such a wonderful experience, Marilyn. Thank you so much. It was really, really insightful, and I'm sure everyone's going to get a lot out of it. Let's talk about how they can go and look at your offerings once again.
Yes, we have all kinds of free things on our website. We have free recordings under the recording sections. We've got a blog that's attached to it that's got free information. We've got meditations. We've got 7-day series that are free. Our website is ADIRONNDA.com, ADIRONNDA.com. If you have trouble spelling that, MarilynHarper.com takes you to the same spot.
There you go.
And we've got a listing of all of our events. We've got events planned out to 2020 and beyond. And so we've got a listing. Next year, we're going to Bimini to go swimming with dolphins. And we're going to Egypt with Cryon. And we're going to Mount Shasta with Cryon, plus a host of other places with interactive weekends and workshops.
Love it. Well, thank you so much once again. And for those of you that may not know who I am, you can also go to my website, danalouisewilliams.com. And just to let you know, I have an 8-week workshop coming up December 8th that's going to help you get through December, through the holidays, and to start fresh in January. It's a reset to go in and find your system's preferences and see where you're not in your truth. So anybody that's interested in that can go to my website. And Marilyn, thank you so very much. And we're going to work on getting you to Vancouver, and keep everybody posted on that one. We're looking at September 2019, I believe, but we haven't nailed it down yet. So stay tuned for that for sure.
Yes. Absolutely. And we're doing our level 4 of holographic healing in January. So check it out. Go to our website and check it out. Go to Dana's website. Check her out. We're all doing wonderful things.
Level 4. So does that mean that they would have to have level 1, level 2, level 3?
No, it is a standalone. It's a good idea if they have at least level 1, and it's a recorded series, so you can easily get it and take it at your own pace.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, level 4 is about putting to use everything that you've learned so far. So yeah, it's about
So is level 1, level 2, level 3 all on recordings, or are some
they're
of them?
all, yeah, they're all on
Oh,
recordings,
perfect.
but
Oh,
none of them are required or dependent upon the other.
beautiful.
Yeah.
And the ripple effect of everybody that walks in their truth exponentially helps the whole planet. So thank you so much for having those available. That's great that they're recorded.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
Marilyn. Well, listen, I'm going to bid you a big hug, a virtual hug, and thank you once again for visiting with us today. And we'll do it again sometime.
That sounds wonderful. Thank you.
Oh, you're
We'll
so
see you.
welcome, my dear.